In the last video, we covered how to use display modes. You learned how to manage all the view modes and also how to create a custom view mode. And we enabled the register form mode, which allows us to customize the registration page. Now, remember, view modes and form modes fall under the display modes umbrella. Now, just a quick refresher. A view mode allows you to contextually group formatters, whereas form modes allow you to contextually group widgets. Now that you have a good understanding of display modes in general, let's look at using a module which will allow you to add widgets or formatters into layout regions. And to do this, we'll use the core module called Field Layout. Now, before we jump ahead and install the module, let's go to Structure, Content Types, and then click on Manage Display on the article row, and then click on Full Content because we want to modify the canonical node page. So what I'll do is I'll open up another tab and I'll go to one of my test articles. And here you can see all of the fields pretty much one after the other. So you have image, body. Well, image is floated to the left because there's a bit of styling in this theme, but just imagine there is no float. So here you can see that image is the first field, body is the second, and then you have tags, and then you have comments. And then if we go to manage display, you can essentially see that here. You have image, body, tags, and comments. And from here, you can reorder fields. So if you want, you can move comments to the top. And then if we go to the page and refresh, you can see that comments have been moved to the top. And then you can even disable the fields if we move the fields down to the bottom to the disabled section. And then if we refresh, then you have an article with only an image and tags. If you want to do that, you can do that. But other than that, you can't really customize it any further. You can reorder the fields up and down, you can modify the formatters, but that's about it. So let's go ahead now and install Field Layout. So click on Extend and then search for Field Layout and then check it and then click on Install. Now be aware that Field Layout is an experimental module, so use at your own risk, and then just click on Continue. And then let's go back to Structure, Content Types, and then Manage Display on the article row, and then make sure you click on Full Content. And then if you scroll down, you'll see this new option, Layout Settings. And then from here, you can select a layout. Now, these layouts ship with Drupal core, but you can implement your own layouts. And we'll cover that in another training module because implementing your own layouts requires a YAML file and also a bit of twig work. So we'll cover how to implement your own custom layouts in the theming and templating training module. But one thing to be aware of is that when you are building a Drupal site, if you do see designs which are consistent, so for example, you see that a lot of your content types will have a right-hand column, for example, think about creating a reusable layout. And that way you save yourself restyling every single content type. So that's just something to think about. So here you can see all of the available layouts. You have a few 2-column layouts and also a few 3-column layouts. But for this example, let's just select 2-column. And then here you can see that there are 4 regions. So top, left, right, and bottom. So click on Save. And then now you have your individual regions. But instead of left and right, they're just called first and second. So to add a field to a region, simply click and then drag it. So let's move image into second, comment down to the bottom region, body and tags. Let's leave that where it is, and links down into the second region, but links will only be displayed if you're not logged in. And you can leave the top region empty, doesn't really matter. And then if we click on Save and refresh our page, you can see that the image is on the right, the body is on the left, tags is below the body, and then you have comments spanning across both columns. And then if we inspect the elements and we have a look, you can see that we do have a 2-column layout to col, and then we have the individual regions. So that is how you can set up field layout on view modes. Now let's look at setting it up on form modes. So let me just close this, and let's now click on Manage Form Display. And then if you scroll all the way down, you can select the same layouts. So let's just select 2-column and then click on Save. And now let's just quickly reorder the fields. So let's just move Published to bottom. Let's just move all of these ones because these are the form options which appear on the right-hand side. So now we are left with our actual fields. And then if we were to add, say, image to second and title to top, and then in the first column, we can have body and tags. And then if we click on Save, and then if we go to our test article and click on Edit, you will see that it doesn't behave quite the same. First of all, nothing is floated. When if we have a look here, so body and tags are in the first, and then image is in second. So image should have floated to the right, but it's not doing that. Now, why is that? Well, the reason for that is because the widgets do have set widths on them. And so generally, there's not enough room here. So if there's not enough room in the column, it'll simply pop below it. Now, if you do want to customize this form, I do recommend that you use Field Group instead, which is another module, which we'll cover in this training module. And Field Group allows you to rearrange your widgets and then add them into tabs or vertical tabs or even collapsible divs. And it's very useful for content types with lots of fields. So I actually recommend that you use Field Group instead of Field Layout to manage your widgets. So if you want, simply jump ahead to that video in this training module. So that's essentially field layout. Now, here's my recommendation. Should you use it? Well, the answer, my personal opinion, is no, you shouldn't. Now, the reason why I created a video on this is to show you how to use it, because eventually field layout could be a stable module. But right now, it is experimental. And it really doesn't offer that much out of the box when you can easily use Display Suite. And we'll cover Display Suite in another video in this training module. So if you want to jump ahead to it, go ahead. But Display Suite just gives you way more functionality. It pretty much gives you the exact same user interface. So essentially you'll manage all of your fields from the exact same user interface. You select your layouts from here, but you can do way more things such as adding in custom classes to regions. And that's very useful if you are working with a front-end team, because often they will ask you, oh, can you add a class that wraps this region or something like that? You can do that. You can even create custom Display Suite fields, which is pretty awesome. But I don't want to cover that in this video. I don't want to jump ahead. There is a whole separate video for that. So that's field layout. I don't recommend that you use it, but if you want to use it, it is there. And if you have to use it, well, you know how to use it now.